Hello, and welcome to Immigration Talk, a space where we hear from an expert on matters related to the immigration industry, law and policy, and practice. I'm Rosalie Van Staldeinen, and joining me is RCIC-IRB Tiffany Osman-Chi. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you so much for having me join again.
It's always a pleasure. Tiffany, what do immigration practitioners need to know about BC PNP's new or updated guide?
Well, Rosalie, this was one of the more significant BC PNP developments introduced so far this year. A new temporary rural and remote health support initiative was announced, along with an unprecedented ineligible occupations list. And information can be found in the new guide, but we'll start discussing some of these today. Let's start with the initiative. It reflects a targeted effort by BC to address persistent labor shortages in rural and remote healthcare settings. This pathway allows workers in some support occupations that traditionally have not had direct access to provincial nomination opportunities. There are several important features in this initiative that practitioners should understand immediately. First, eligibility is only restricted to healthcare authorities. So, healthcare establishments such as private clinics, assisted living facilities that are not explicitly run by a healthcare authority is not going to qualify. Second, the structure of this initiative appears to combine elements of the current skills immigration framework with characteristics that practitioners will recognize from the former entry-level and semi-skilled category. Other standard BC PNP eligibility requirements continue to apply, including language and wage requirements, employer eligibility, full-time and year-round occupation and experience in an eligible occupation for at least 9 consecutive months before becoming eligible is required. Any type of leave longer than 2 weeks will not be counted towards the overall employment requirement. For example, if someone were to take a 6-month parental leave, that will not be counted towards the 9-month consecutive employment requirement. And this was exactly the same from the former entry-level semi-skilled category. All the health authorities in BC are eligible to participate, but they are each responsible for implementing their own internal nomination process. So practitioners should expect operational differences depending on the employer and the location of the work. Eligible occupations are currently limited to support roles only, which are security guards and security services, light duty cleaners, janitors, caretakers, and heavy duty cleaners. Geographic location is also an important criterion. The work must be performed in a designated rural or remote area of BC. So practitioners should note that most of Metro Vancouver, the Okanagan, and Vancouver Island are not considered eligible rural or remote locations. There are some exceptions, including Galiano Island, Main Island, Pender Island, Salt Spring Island, and Saturna Island. Throughout the application process, the applicant has to maintain employment in the same occupation, in the same location, with the same health authority employer. Registration opened on June 15th, 2026, and as far there has not been an invitation to apply under this initiative yet. It is temporary, so practitioners should begin identifying potentially eligible clients early and proactively track whether they will satisfy the required employment period and location requirements. Another major update is the introduction of a formal list of occupations that are no longer eligible for any BC PNP stream. This change took effect June 13th, 2026, and all profiles currently in the SIRS system that have not yet received an invitation to apply were removed on that date. The excluded occupations are concentrated primarily in administration, sales and service, and religious occupations. Some prime examples in administration include accounting technicians and bookkeepers, administration assistants and officers, legal and medical administrative assistants, and HR officers and recruiters. Some examples of sales and service workers include sales and food service supervisors. This change has immediate implications for practitioners managing active pipelines and client expectations. Existing profiles alone will not preserve eligibility anymore. Applicants must reassess their strategy before investing additional time or resources. So, as practitioners, you should be working with their employers to identify other means of maintaining temporary residence. We don't know if these ineligible occupations will continue to stay the same throughout the rest of this year and into the next year, but the short-term objective should be to maintain your client's status legally in Canada. Finally, the BC PNP has provided two very important and practical instructions for all applicants to follow. These are not entirely new, but they do appear to be receiving increased scrutiny now. The first contains employer establishment in BC. The employer supporting an application has to demonstrate a significant operational presence in BC. So at minimum, they will need a website where the BC PNP can see what type of operations they have in BC. Other examples, such as industry recognition or media coverage, participation in conferences or trade shows, public demonstrations of their products or their services, and independent reviews, testimonials, or other evidence establishing a genuine market presence will be important. The second concerns economic benefit. The applicant's own work with the company has to constitute a direct economic benefit in BC. That means creating jobs, transferring knowledge and skills, supporting the development of proprietary products, or building a major project and strengthening strategic industries in the province. This is where public information becomes increasingly valuable. Employer visibility, media coverage, industry participation, and documented business impact can be persuasive supporting evidence that strengthens the overall nomination application. These updates suggest the broader theme across the BC PNP objectives is increased selectivity and greater emphasis on demonstrating genuine provincial benefits. So practitioners should be assessing whether clients can maintain continuity of employment, whether employers can demonstrate meaningful operations in BC, and whether the applicant's work creates a clear and measurable contribution to the province. The full impact of these updates will become very clear over the next 10 to 18 months. So definitely keep an eye on BC's overall economic outlook and any updates that the BC PNP puts on their website. Rosalie?
Well, thank you, Tiffany, for walking us through these important updates to BC PNP. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's talk again.